Without further ado, we will introduce our speaker, Jennifer Sue. Jennifer Sue, it's complicated. It's complicated. Jennifer Sue.
Coaching and mentoring and coaching, I often use these words interchangeably as if they mean the same thing. But Toastmasters defines them differently. According to Toastmasters, a coach is a person who takes responsibility for helping someone with a short-term specific goal. The job of a mentor is much deeper. A mentor helps a person take responsibility for themselves, to figure out exactly what their goals are, set milestones for achieving them, and supports them along the way through a sustained period of time. So quite a distinction, right? And as Donna said, tonight my project objective is to tell you a story or stories about my own experience in a mentor-protege relationship where I experienced being a protege. Sounds pretty inspirational, right? Some older person takes me under their wings and I learn to spread my own wings and fly off and everything is wonderful. But really it's more complicated than that, because for a protege-mentor relationship to be successful, the protege has to be willing to hear feedback, has to be willing to overcome obstacles, has to stay the course. And in preparing for this speech, I kind of discovered that I have not always been a great protege. So tonight I'm going to tell you about 3 of my experiences as a protege and what sort of was the barrier to me being able to take full advantage of the wonderful gift of mentorship. The first experience I'm going to talk to you about is with my dad, and what sort of was my barrier to getting everything I could out of that great relationship was my arrogance as an adolescent. Now, when we were little, my dad was just the best. He loved to spend time with us, he loved to talk to us and tell us stories about when he was a kid. I remember every Sunday night we would watch 60 Minutes and we would talk about it. I mean, I was like, 8 or 9, and he was encouraging me to have conversations about what I saw in 60 Minutes. I probably didn't understand most of it. And I remember every Friday night we all got together and he actually exposed us to the Holocaust when we were very little, because we watched this documentary every Friday about World War II, and we would talk about it and have these deep conversations about war, about Hitler, about man's inhumanity to man. He really wanted to mentor us kids into being thinking, responsible adults who cared about the world. And as little kids, we ate that up. But when we became teenagers, all of us, including me, became big, fat jerks. And we no longer thought our dad was cool. We no longer wanted to watch 60 Minutes with him or spend time with him. And so I think at the period of time when I most needed his mentorship and his support, I rejected it. And when I got later into my 20s, went back to the old relationship with my dad, and I talked to him all the time, and he gave me all kinds of advice, from car maintenance to marriage maintenance, but I regret my failures as a protege during that time. Now, the second mentor-protege relationship I'm going to talk to you about was in high school with my high school journalism teacher, Mrs. Fenton. I signed up for journalism class and became part of the school newspaper my sophomore year. And about towards the end of the semester, the first semester, my teacher asked me to stay after class, and she said, "You know, Jennifer, when the class first started, I thought you were plagiarizing, because your work in class and your articles are way more than I expect from a sophomore. And I want you to know that you have something that you're good at, and you better not take that for granted. I want to see you work hard in this class." And if you've ever tried to be a mentor or had the opportunity to be a mentor, know that your words of encouragement mean a lot to people, because that just lit a fire under me. In sophomore year and junior year, I worked really hard and I covered every school event I could. And Mrs. Fenton offered me the position of editor-in-chief for senior year. Well, at the same time, My parents were going through a divorce, and my mom was encouraging me to change from my expensive private school to a public high school. And what senior wants to change schools their last year? No one. You know what? I was terrified, and I changed schools just for that reason and lost that mentorship, that continuing mentorship opportunity. And then finally, I'm going to tell you about my mentor here in Toastmasters, Rita. When I joined the club, I was reluctant to take on being a protege and having a mentor. I was stubborn, and I didn't want Rita to think I was needy. So Rita offered me a lot of help. A lot of times I said, no, I got it, I know what I'm doing. I remember the first time I was table topics master, I got up there and froze. I forgot to shake people's hands, I forgot to leave the lectern attended all times, and I forgot to call on our reporting people at the end. So the general evaluator at the time even took Rita to task and scolded her for not preparing me better. And it was really my fault that I wasn't taking advantage of her mentorship. So I changed after that. But I want you guys all to learn from me and not to let pride or stubbornness or arrogance or fear get in the way of taking advantage of a mentorship relationship. If you're newer to Toastmasters and you don't have a mentor yet and there's someone that you feel like could help you, ask that person. And if you haven't been a mentor yet, offer your services. Because even if your protege like me is not exactly willing, years later they'll remember you for the rest of their lives. So think about it. Be a mentor, be a protege. Thank you.